For those who do not know, Synduality Echo Veda is an extraction shooter that features the use of mechs to explore the world. They are referred to as cradle coffins or even bipedal tanks in some instances, whilst this game does have a single-player component. For the purposes of this video, I will be focusing entirely on the PvPvE extraction shooter component of the game, and because it can be a lot to take in, I want to discuss those things that I wish I'd known about when I first started playing, which have made my life easier, or just were not well documented or explained. To begin with, the game is a marathon, not a sprint. Starting off, this game bombards you with a lot of information and the implication that there's a lot to do. And as you'll find out, a lot of it requires time, grinding of materials, and in-game money, which is also obtained as a result of the first two. This leads to the temptation to simply take every ounce of money you earn and immediately spend it on the next upgrade, part, weapon, Vegas, clothing, etc. Do not! Keep in mind that this is first and foremost an extraction shooter. You can and will lose everything you've equipped. And there's nothing more demoralizing than having lost everything and being met with the reality that you can't afford what you lost, or just continuing to play with the idea hanging over your head that you can't replace what you've just lost. Which leads to our next point. The Jackbox is your free friend. As far as extraction shooters go, this game is pretty generous about that. Outside of the cost of ammo and sealing and health kits, or just healing kits if you run a weather magus and can avoid the rain, otherwise you pay for nothing if you use the basic weapons in Jackbox. This can be used also to explore the map without risk of losing anything vitally important, or when you start your journey onto the second map. Number 3. Pick everything up and don't be afraid to drop it. Sooner or later, everything will be needed, and as you pick items up, your magus will make a note of where it was found so that you can come back and find it later with a heat map showing its general location if the item is favorited. Items of interest that you should pick up for the extra boosts and money. Cradle parts from bandits, weapon parts, cradle frames, purple and blue balancing components. All of these can be sold especially early on to get you some starting funds before you can really make use of them. Next, when making your first magus, you are presented with multiple magus specializations that, when picked, cannot be changed without a ticket to respec your magus. You will, however, be able to obtain multiple magus, or magi, up to eventually 20. There are currently 5 specializations: Weather Gazer, Cradle Support, Defensive, Anti-Ender, and Anti-Cradle. The Weather Gazer specialization. This specialization gives your magus the ability to put up a shield that blocks the incoming decay caused to your resistance by the rain. Furthermore, it also allows your magus to detect the size and quality of the nearby crystals. Finally, it also has the weather radar map ability, which allows you to get a forecast as to where one should expect to see rain as the sortie progresses. The Cradle Support specialization. This specialization gives your magus the ability to put up a healing sphere that allows you or another player to regenerate health. Now, do keep in mind that this field does not differentiate between friend or foe, so if placed down, an enemy in PvP can attempt to push forward and benefit by the heal offered by this sphere. Additionally, it allows you to more rapidly use health kits, and as its bonus, will allow you to view the inventory of another scanned cradle coffin. The Defensive specialization. This specialization allows your magus to place down a wall of shields that are impassable and cannot be shot through, but can be shot in between. This can be used to set up a temporary barrier to shoot from, or to set up a choke point that can either secure your escape or prevent the escape of another target. This specialization also results in less damage taken from grenade-style weapons and grants you the ability to view the inventory of another scanned cradle coffin. The Anti-Ender specialization. This specialization allows your Magus to spawn and attack with multiple projectiles that will either do damage to multiple Enders that are in your proximity or to strike fewer Enders with multiple projectiles. It also allows you to view the health of an Ender with no secondary passive. Anti-Cradle specialization. This specialization allows your Magus to place a field down that will slow down all other enemies or cradles for its duration. Do keep in mind that this field also does not differentiate between friend or foe and will slow down any cradle but the casters for its duration. This specialization has only one passive, being able to see the HP of another person's coffin when not in a group or co-op mission. Of the current Magus specializations, for those who have never played and want to learn the lay of the land, I recommend starting with the Weather Gazer. This specialization will help you more easily find and remember the location of crystals and allow you to spend more time exploring out in the rain as opposed to having to be stopped in one place waiting for the rain to pass or cutting your sword short due to having to extract because of resistance damage. Weather resistance. Whilst the topic was introduced, I feel it was not sufficiently expounded upon. That said, for all intents and purposes, resistance is your armor. Once it's gone, you will receive drastically increased damage to your cradle coffin. Furthermore, you will also receive damage while out in the rain. To bail out or not to bail out, when your max HP is reduced to 0, be it by Enders, NPCs, or at the hands of a player, you will usually be given the option to either bail out or do nothing and let your cradle coffin explode. If you choose to bail out, you will lose everything collected during the sortie, but can attempt to redeploy in order to retrieve anything that wasn't pilfered. Should you choose not to bail out, your cradle coffin will explode, destroying the cradle coffin itself, leaving the Magus behind to be looted along with your other loot, but preventing the player or others from taking the cradle coffin's cradle, arms, and legs. If your Magus is taken, you'll receive it back after about 10 minutes, either paying a reunion fee of 10,000 credits, or having your Magus returned to you on their own if no one collected or managed to extract with it. Upon returning, your Magus will be dirty and will need a shower or bath depending on the progress of one's base. It is recommended to build a bathing station as soon as possible, since not bathing the Magus will result in the same comment in regards to being unclean repeated at the beginning of every sortie, in addition to its perpetually disheveled appearance. F. Heat maps and weather maps. When in the garage, you can favorite items that you need to find or want to find in order to build certain items. To do so, highlight the item that you would want to look at building and press F. Your items are now favorited. When you head out into the world, your Magus will now point them out when you see them, and they'll show up on the minimap as a heart. Synduality also has a heat map view that allows you to more quickly search for specific items and crafting ingredients. To make use of this minimap functionality, or heat map functionality, simply open your mission objectives by pressing M to view it on your map, and on your keyboard use your up and down arrow keys in order to highlight what it is that you want to build, and the location of the items that you picked up when you had the Magus on board will be highlighted. Finally, if you have the weather specialization for your Magus, in addition to being able to locate crystals and provide a rain shield, you will also be able to make use of the weather forecast skill, which gives you an idea of where its rain is going to fall at a given time. In order to access this, do the following. 1. Open your map. 2. Press L on your keyboard so that your map switches over to forecast mode. 3. Use the up and down arrow keys in order to get a prediction as to where the rain will appear on the map in intervals of 3 minutes. Look to the skies. If you do not have a weather Magus, just look to the skies. Similar to in real life, you can watch storms roll in so that you can make your best decisions as to how you wish to proceed. Crystals in the rain. When mining, especially starting off, if possible, wait until it begins to rain. Doing so will cause the crystal to emit a pillar of light. When in this state, crystal quality will go up by 1, allowing you to obtain a quality of crystal you would not be able to normally obtain in some cases. Enders in the rain. In the rain, enders will do more damage. However, when killed in the rain, they also have a higher chance to drop cores. These cores have a few purposes. First, they can be sold for an extra bit of money if you have space to spare. Second, they are used in crafting. Third, the geyser and incubator cores are needed to complete a mission, so you may want to hold on to those for a bit. Walk. Don't boost. This ties partially into the idea that the game is a marathon and not a sprint. Similarly, in this game, when you are out and about, you don't want to boost all the time. Doing so generates a bunch of heat, making it likely that any attempt to jump or dodge will leave you in an overheated state, meaning that you can do nothing but walk forward, backwards, left, right, and strafe. This will exclude your ability to dash or jump to avoid any sort of damage. Furthermore, the more noise you make, the easier it is to attract the attention of other players who will get an alert from their magus stating that they hear an engine in the distance or something to this effect. You will also alert any nearby enders or bandits to your location, inducing aggro. You can also further decrease the rate of movement you make with mouse and keyboard by holding right-click on your mouse. This will aim down scope with your current weapon, decreasing movement speed and noise aggro generation. Finally, another reason not to sprint everywhere is that by doing so, you will miss the opportunity to continue learning what items are there and where they are, and miss out on that opportunity of building your Magus's item location database, i.e., what you can use to build those heat maps for when you want to find a specific item in the world. If you wish to insist on boosting, make sure that you have a specific destination in mind. Control is your friend. If you hit Control by itself, it will initiate a dodge to the left. However, if you do hit Control in addition to W, A, S, or D, it will initiate a dodge or slight boost to jump in this direction. Doing so serves a few purposes. To begin with, it acts as an easy dodge if an ender, player, or bandit is moving towards you. It, however, can also be used in order to gain further distance when jumping to another platform or trying to create horizontal movement on jumping from an area. Vertical movement versus horizontal movement. Falling damage received is based upon the vertical distance traveled by a cradle coffin before impacting a platform, ledge, or the ground. As a result, it does not take into account airtime as a result of horizontal movement. This allows for quick traversal through parts of the map that make use of cliffs and various buildings or other structures, so long as you can keep your horizontal momentum up. This is done by dodging or boosting in the direction that you wish to travel upon making contact with a ledge or other platform. Furthermore, it is possible to affect your trajectory in the air with W, A, S, and D. Extraction plans. Start making your way to extract at about 10 minutes or so beforehand, especially when you first start and are learning the map. This will give you enough time to make it back with about 5 minutes to spare because of how extract elevators are spaced out every sortie. Furthermore, that extra 5 minutes allows you padding if you get lost or hit a dead end on the way to the elevator. If you do run out of battery, the game will treat it like your mech was damaged beyond repair and force a bailout countdown. Hear, feel, think. This game is first and foremost an extraction shooter, but to borrow the line from a very popular MMO, hear, feel, think. When one is roaming about, you will want to hear or listen to your surroundings, because whether it be a random ender or a player with malicious intentions, if you don't listen, you can very easily end up in an ambush or less than ideal position. Feel. Go with your gut. If something feels like it might be a bit off in game or just feels wrong, chances are this is the case. Humans have billions of years of evolution behind them and programming to keep them alive, so go with it. And last but not least, think. Think about what you're doing and what you just encountered, or even over a loss, because the best way to get better into these games is to learn and think about one's experiences. Co-op and you. Grouping up grants a bonus to your battery, increasing the time that you can be out. Depending on how quickly that objective went, you may come out with more time than when you went in. Use this to extend your outage while also collecting bonuses for the group activity in the form of parts or just a neat piece of clothing and the title. You cannot group up immediately, but gain the ability to do so in the field after you've completed some of the missions in the game leading up to the mission cooperation permits. You can group up with up to 2 others in order to complete the objectives for a mission. Furthermore, grouping up in this fashion will also allow you to keep track of one another's health and location, and can be used as a useful way to coordinate in order to hunt down a bounty target or another individual in this fashion. Optimize your game for better performance. As fun as the game is, out of the box, the game tends to be a little unoptimized, with a small range of visual options that can be tweaked in order to make the game run smoother. As a result, you may want to look at doing the following. First, begin by limiting the maximum frame rate for the game in your video card's control panel. In the case of NVIDIA, you can set the max FPS in a specific game profile. Sadly, not owning an AMD card at this time, I can't really advise off the top of my head how to do so. Next, play with the in-game settings, which do seem to be somewhat limited since the game seems to share the same settings as its console siblings. Which leads us to the third way to modify the game's settings. Being an Unreal game, this game has a number of settings and modifiers that can be added to the Engine.ini file found in your localappdata /sin /saved /config WindowsClient directory. I will include this in the description for this video so you can find it. However, tweaking this file and changing or removing values can allow someone to fine-tune their game's visual settings to either allow for better performance or, if you have a powerful enough machine, just better graphics. And finally, I'd like to add that there's more than just this game. The game itself is part of a multimedia project being overseen by a group of creators known as the Synduality group. And their intention is to create an entire fleshed out universe with its own lore, history, stories, and so on. To this end, there is also an anime which exists to establish a background to the world. There's also a manga that has not yet been fully translated, which can be an enjoyable read. And finally, a light novel that talks about the events prior to the Tears of the New Moon incident, which sadly has not yet been translated into English as of the production of this video. So, if you are interested in the world here, check these out since I do feel there's a lot of cool lore so far. Hey folks, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching my video. This is actually the first video that I went and basically put together from scratch in terms of recording voice lines, recording footage, and sorting stuff out. I hope you enjoyed it. By all means, please feel free to leave me some feedback. If you like this content, let me know, because I intend on, kind of just going through and doing more of this type of thing. And, well, it's definitely a learning experience for sure. Other than that, I will leave links below if folks want to join the Discord. Well, rather, the English-speaking Discord for Synduality, which is based around the Reddit community. And from there, I'm also going to be inputting a link to my GitHub, which has the amazing font that I used for this video, because it's kind of cool, I think, and I enjoy it, so might as well share it. Other than that, I will just be leaving the directory link for the location where you can find out Engine.ini if you want to go ahead and just do the thing there. Other than that, I just guess, well, like all YouTubers like to say, like, follow, subscribe, whatever. I have no idea. But thank you so much for just hanging out with me and watching this video. And I hope it helped a lot.